Not long ago, we were discussing ESPN and what the NBA deal was going to, and I should say how the NBA deal's effect was going to be on the company in itself. And it's not just the NBA deal, which was billions of dollars. It has a lot to do with Monday Night Football, ESPN's deals with the NFL and live streaming sports content. Well, today, it was expected as of a couple days ago that 40 on-air talent were going to be let go by the worldwide leader. It was now reported to be over 100.
Right.
Some of which are names that you've known for a long time. And to preempt all of this, I don't like reporting this story. I don't like this because I don't like people losing their jobs for something that was out of their own control.
And not to mention, one of the unique things about ESPN is that they're in Bristol, Connecticut. So if you have a family in Bristol, Connecticut, and you've just lost your job, that means your kids are in school there. You have your partner is working somewhere, presumably, and you can't just get another broadcasting job in the middle of Connecticut. So that means you have to move. It's an upheaval, unquestionably, that happens to people who are working for ESPN when this happens. Of course, it happens at every company, but it's more profound and more pronounced when it happens at a place like ESPN because of where it is and the type of business it is.
Right, and what they are.
Yeah.
I mean, and we'll get into this in just a second, but one of the major things that they slashed, it seems like, based on who they fired from their on-air talent, is their entire hockey department.
Yeah.
One of which was, you just looked up a second ago, was about eventually John Butchergross not getting his contract back.
Right, they're not sure. I mean, originally it was reported that John Butchergross, who is anchors a lot of their coverage at ESPN of hockey, and he's great. I mean, John Butchergross is fantastic. Steve Levy and Barry Melrose are really those three are the centerpieces of their coverage. Melrose is an analyst. And they're great, and they work well together, and it's great television. They're great broadcasters, great television. And so when you see that, and you see that it's been taken away, it's too bad. Butchergross will get work elsewhere because he's that big a talent. They did say that he will, first they said he was not hired, or he was not retained. Then they said, well, they're not sure if he's going to be reduced or renewed. They're not sure because Carl Ravitch, who does baseball there, was reduced. Now what that means, I don't know. Ravitch is the face of all their baseball coverage. So maybe they just make him a seasonal hire. He just does baseball, and in the offseason he comes in, does a couple of reports, and that's it. I don't know. That, I mean, I'm just conjecturing. But this started when ESPN lost and didn't bid on the hockey contract to get the league. They did an unbelievable, and I'm a hockey fan, so I'm biased, but they did an amazing job. I know what good and bad coverage is. They did an amazing job of covering the NHL, and then they just gave it up. So all those resources were still in place, and at a time when they were really doing well and subscriptions were high, they were able to keep an NHL staff on. They are the worldwide leader in sports. Now they don't have the contract. Some years on, subscriptions are down. It's not surprising that the hockey people will be the first to go. You lose Pierre LeBrun as well, Joe McDonald, I mean, real hockey people.
Yeah, and some of those guys 7, 8, 9 years with ESPN. So Ed Werder was another one that I thought was actually really surprised. 17 years.
Yeah.
He's been covering the NFL mostly for ESPN.
He's like just a staple. Yep.
Exactly what it is. And look, the thing is so when I look at some of these ESPN hosts, like I've mentioned before, and I leave exempt to this, always Scott Van Pelt. He's somebody that I've always looked up to. I think what he does with his At Midnight Space is fantastic.
Yeah.
I grew up with Stuart Scott. I grew up with Dan Patrick, and I grew up with Kenny Mayne. And these are big personalities that it seemed like the sports world revolved around them because you wanted to hear what they had to say. So what I guess frustrates me in this is, and I alluded to this about 3-4 weeks ago. I was not the first one. I'm not taking any credit for this at all. But the NBA deal struck me as something that was going to be a major problem because of how much it was worth and the fact that the second half of regular season basketball, where starters are being rested and it's not the playoffs, is not the most entertaining thing to watch.
That's right.
Bucks versus Warriors, when the Warriors aren't playing their starters because they're either injured or resting, is not going to return $1 billion investment. And what crushes me is that because of a bad or multiple bad deals, including botching of the NHL deal, they have to let go of the department that was possibly bringing in a niche audience that was needed. Yeah. So my hope is that, and as you mentioned, Butchergross is somebody I think that would be extremely successful anywhere. Right. I think any network would be insane not to hire him. I think any network would be, I think ESPN would be insane not to hire Michael Schur.
I agree. This is the little secret that nobody's talking about. They're getting rid of everybody, and they're bringing me in, and I wasn't able to.
It was a
talk
1 for 100 move, so I'm a little biased. I like Michael Schur.
They had a good product with the hockey. You know, like you said, it's niche. Hockey's always going to be niche. But they did it really well. It's rabid. It's devoted, and the NBA thing just got out of control. The money, they diluted so much what they do,
I agree.
and that's a big problem for their brand. And I don't know the first thing about running a network. ESPN, I remember when they went on the air. That's how young I am.
How young you are.
And so, but when they went on the air, they were showing, weightlifting and, pulling the world's strongest men in Finland overnight, motocross. Like, what is this network? What is this network? And then they grew into being the place that everybody went. Now, of course, you don't watch SportsCenter and highlight shows anymore because it shows up on your phone all day long.
Bleacher reports of the world.
Yeah, and so, but you are able to corral with your experts and your analysis, you're able to corral that devoted sports audience unless you dilute it, unless you make them go away for whatever reason. And that seems to be what ESPN's dealing with here, trying to merge online and television. Fewer people have ESPN now, and that's a problem for that network.
I've said this a couple of times because I'm very young in this industry and I'm very aware of that. It's a tiny industry, and it didn't take me long to realize that.
Yeah.
People think that the sports industry or sports media, it's its own little bubble in a bigger media bubble, but everybody does know of each other, of you, where you stand, where you are, and it just feels like you don't want to see 100 people lose their jobs, ever, ever, especially for the reasons that they did. So this is not a happy story. Some people are saying, what a win for Yahoo Sports, or this is great for NBC.
Nah, these are people.
Exactly. They're not. Corporations are not people. Corporations. Right. No. We treat corporate. What is it? We treat the corporations.
You're right.
Like
Corporations aren't people. Yeah. They're corporations, and these are 100 people who have lives and bills and mortgages and college loans and whatever it is. And some of them are very wealthy, and some of them aren't. And it doesn't matter. It sucks for all of them. So
here's my thing: Butcher Gross and Schur. The Butcher Gross and Schur show.
Butchie Schur.
Shirley Butcher Gross.
Surely. Butch
don't call me Schur.
Shoe and Butch, yeah.
Shoe and, hey, it's not Cactus Chin and Butch.
Cactus Chin, yeah. The cactus and the Butch.
This is gonna get out of hand. All right. Comment below, like, favorite, and subscribe. Let us know your thoughts. Michael's on Twitter. He's a very good follow on Twitter.
Oh, thanks.
Very quick to correct if you mess up. I promise.
Only Jason. I only correct Jason.